Hey everyone, this is Larry with Today I Feel Like. I am excited for this one. I always get geeked up when I have lens reviews because they're so much fun and it inspires me to go out and shoot and film stuff. And today we have the 7Artisans 10mm f2.8 lens. This is a full frame fisheye lens. This one's for Sony E-mount. So I'm gonna throw this on my Sony a7CR and we're gonna take it out, shoot some photos and some video with it, see how it performs. But first, let's get it out of the box, try it out inside the studio here, and see how it does. All right, here we go. All right, here is the box. Let's take a quick look around before we get the lens out. And we can see this is a 7Artisans 10mm f2.8 2 lens. This is their second generation of this lens, and it's a full frame fisheye ED prime lens. It says it is going to have 0.15 meters macro capability or close focusing, so it's going to be able to focus up to about I think it's about 5.8 inches, something like that if you do the conversion, and it's about 185 degrees field of view. That's really wide. Not much on that side except we can see it's for E-mount. On here, a little diagram of the lens, not much on there, and on the back, same thing. So let's just go ahead and get this let's get this out of the packaging here. We're gonna get, I think it's just a little guide thing there, some precaution stuff there. Let's get this out. And we are gonna have I think this is gonna be a quick user's guide, a little diagram of the lens on there and all that. And one thing I love about 7Artisans, they always put their lenses, they seem like they always put their lenses in these nice cases like this. I just love that. Looks fantastic. So a little branding on top, and there's little clips right here too, so if you need to put on, if you want to put on like a shoulder strap or something, you can do that as well. So, but let's get this out of here. And this, I will tell you one thing, this thing has some weight to it. It has some weight to it. It feels substantial. It does not feel like this is a cheap lens at all, and it is robust to say the least. So one thing we can see here is that we are going to have a, ooh, look at that. We're going to have a an aperture ring on the lens here. This is a manual focus lens on it. This one has manual focus, but this this aperture ring is declicked. So it's going to go from f2.8 to f16, and it is declicked, and it is buttery smooth. That is nice. And then we have our focusing ring right here, and there we go. It does seem like when you get all the way to the end there, it does seem like it's a little bit stiff to get it going, and then it's just super smooth all the way through. So there we have it. Now, if we look at the back here, we're going to see that we have, it doesn't look like there's any gaskets there, so I'm not going to say, I don't think this is going to be, weather sealed. And I don't see any electronics on there either, so I'm not even sure how this works as far as sending metadata through. We're gonna have to try that when we put the lens on it. Put the lens on a body, but it doesn't look like there's any electronics there to send metadata through to the camera. So you might have to handle all the exposure and everything old school manually. So nice metal lens cap, and then there is that big bulbous fisheye front element right there. That thing is nice. Now, you're not going to be able to put a filter on there unless you do a drop-in filter, because there's no place to actually thread that. So just be aware of that. If you're someone that shoots with a lot of filters, you're going to have to get a system so that you can drop the filter in over top of it. So, all right, looks good. Okay, well, let me do this. Let me go grab my my A7CR, put the lens on the body, and then I'll just maybe hold it out in front of me and test it and see what it looks like in here. And then we'll take it out and shoot some photos and a couple video clips. All right, so I have the lens mounted to my A7CR, and I'm using it right now. And the crazy thing is, I have this lens really close to me. I mean, the camera's really close to me right now. Now, I can pull away, and then you can see so much more of my studio space. I mean, you can see the lights over there. You can start to see my microphone overhead. I mean, this is seriously wide. Now, one thing I would say is that you'll have to manually adjust your focusing when you actually decide which way to change it. So I had it set for my face when I was really close. When I backed away, it might have gone out of focus a little bit. But one thing that I've noticed was with super wide angle lenses, these ultra wide angle lenses, the focus is really almost infinite. So even if you move it up closer like this, it doesn't seem like it really goes out nearly as much as it would with a different lens. So yeah. What do you guys think about it so far? It looks pretty good. Now you can definitely see there's some curvature on the ends of this because this is a fisheye lens. But let's take it outside because I want to see what this looks like, you know, out in the real world, not just in this controlled space. All right, so here I am walking and I'm holding the lens really pretty close to me, and it's pretty nice. The one thing you have to really make sure is that you have the focus on you. Now, you can go ahead and use focus peaking so that you can make sure things are on you, and you can adjust that before you start filming. Just make sure that you are sort of the one that's that is focused on. Now, the other thing is because this doesn't really have any sort of electronic connections, you're gonna have to adjust your aperture manually. I've found that it's easiest for me just to go ahead and set my ISO and my shutter speed where I want it, and then I can just go ahead and manually adjust that aperture so that the image stays right. So yeah, other than that, there's no image stabilization in the lens. So as you walk, you're gonna wanna make sure you have image stabilization and your camera body turned on. If you have image stabilization in your body, if you don't, you're probably gonna end up with a pretty shaky image and pretty shaky footage there. So yeah, but what do you guys think about it so far? And again, I'm just holding this really pretty close. I can actually tuck my arm into my body and let it rest on my body, which is really nice because it helps me from being too tired. Sometimes if you have to hold the camera way out like this, it can really tire you out. But being able to tuck it in nice and close means you don't have to put as much stress on your arm, and you can hold your camera and vlog for much longer. So yeah, all right, let's go take some regular photos and some video and see how it does. Now, I think this lens could also be really pretty cool for doing some automotive interiors. And so I'm in my car here and I'm gonna shoot a few pictures, a little bit of video, and just see how the images look, because I think this lens is gonna be wide enough to really let us be able to see the interior of the car exactly the way we wanna see it. Now, as I mentioned, this lens only has a manual aperture ring, and right now it's set to about f/16. It's almost all the way maxed out, but I'm gonna go ahead and just, I'm gonna dial it all the way down. I'm gonna open it up all the way to f/2.8. You'll see that it's overexposed as it goes because it's not going to adjust the shutter speed or the ISO automatically. So you need to do all that stuff manually, but you can see how smoothly it transitions and goes back to where the proper exposure is. And that's probably a little underexposed right there. And then that is right about where it should be. So, but it's a nice and smooth transition, which is great for people who are shooting video. All right, everyone, well, there you go. That is my first look at the 7Artisans 10mm f2.8 version 2. This one here I was shooting on my Sony a7CR, which is a 60 megapixel full frame camera body. So this thing is really going to push the limits of what a lens like this can handle resolution wise. And there are a couple of things that I would recommend if you are using this lens. One, turn on focus peaking if you have it available in your camera body, because there is no autofocus with this lens, and you want to make sure that you're in focus, whatever it is you're shooting. 2, make sure that you are ready to manually adjust your exposure. What I would recommend is setting up your shutter speed and your ISO the way you want it, and then control your exposure with the aperture ring, because it is that nice, smooth, clickless aperture ring. It's very, very easy to control your exposure that way. So that's really it. The other thing I guess I would recommend too is make sure that you keep your camera, your lens cap with you, to make sure this front element is protected when you're not using it. It is very bulbous. You cannot put a filter on top of it. There's no screw mount filter you're gonna be able to put on top of this. And the last thing you wanna do is throw this thing in your camera bag or ding it around on something when you don't have a lens cap on there, and scratch that front element, because scratches on there are likely going to show up in your image because you don't have any sort of real depth to hide any blemishes on the lens. So make sure that you put that lens cap on and protect it. There you go. All right, well, I'm going to leave links to it down below in the video description so that you can check it out. I'm also going to leave links to my Amazon page and my social media contacts so you can reach me elsewhere. And I hope you enjoyed seeing this video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up, and please subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram. And I am Larry with Today I Feel Like. Thanks for coming back to see me. Come back and see me soon. And until next time, love, peace, and hair grease. Peace.